Welcome back to FasTrax Cars. I'm Kevin Matlo. I've got Dave here with a beautiful 1971 Cuda. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Tell me a little bit about your car.
So it's a 1971 Cuda, blue, B5 blue, on blue interior. Blue is kind of one of my favorite colors. So this car is actually a 446 pack, somewhat of a clone. It was born as a 383 car.
Yeah.
So the coating on the VIN is different. But this car was done by some fellows in California, ended up in Lethbridge, and I bought it probably about 6 years ago.
Okay, yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Beautiful car, beautiful car. Tell me a little bit about what's under the hood here. It's obviously a powerful car.
It is, yeah, you betcha. It's a 440 6-pack again. It's got the 3 deuce carbs on it. It's got 3-inch exhaust, and it's a 4-speed. So it really gets up and goes. It's loud. It's basically what a muscle car should be, loud and rough. You can hear it coming in, and it's fast. It's a pretty fast car for, being 50-something years old.
Absolutely. Truly a muscle car.
It certainly is. It is. Yeah, you betcha. Guys see this thing and they want to get up beside you and, hear it rumble and see you take off from the lights and put on a show.
Yeah, absolutely. It draws a lot of attention for sure. As we all know, the Cuda is a very sought after muscle car.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like to track down this car? Was it something you were looking for at the time, or just you fell upon it?
A little bit of both. I've been into muscle cars since probably about 15 years old. So I kind of started in the Oldsmobiles, moved a bit into Corvettes. Mopars weren't really my forte or interest in them, but it sort of piqued just seeing some of the other cars around at shows, whatever. Again, the body style of this Cuda is it's timeless. It's just I know everybody's crazy about the convertible Cudas. They've gone for crazy money, but there's some cars that just look so great with a top on. So this was a car that, I kind of fell upon it. I saw it. I went to go see the fellow who had it for sale, and it was pretty much, I was interested until he took me for a ride.
Yeah.
And the minute he took me for a ride, I pretty much was sold on it.
You were done.
I was done. Yeah.
I understand that completely. This color, beautiful blue. It's got a little bit of metallic flake, I see. Was this the factory color, or was it repainted?
It's repainted, but again, there's not great data for that. They don't have, per se, a paint code from back then that gives you basically, violet, blue, red, yellow, nothing like that. So everybody will say, well, you've got a B5 blue car. Well, I've got a Roadrunner that they say is B5 blue. Well, they're totally different. And again, we got to go back 50-something years, and they used a single stage paint. So again, anything now with the base coat, clear coat, is going to look different, but the new paints are fantastic.
Absolutely.
You can see, I can see the reflection in the roof of this just like a mirror.
Yeah. We can see as we're looking through here, you can see all the posters and the flags and everything right in the paint. It's stunning. And the wing on the back, was that factory or aftermarket?
That was a factory wing. I think it was called a Go Wing back then. So it changed a little bit in 70. There was a little bit different, more square one, but this one here kind of had more the tapered edges and such in 71. So again, I always look at things like that. I've got a couple of the newer Corvettes. So some of the things you see on these cars from 50 years ago, they're still in place today. They've been tweaked. They're scientifically tested and made as great as they can. But back then, these guys were on it. They knew what was going on.
Yeah.
They got little dive planes on the front. They've got a wing on the back. So they were testing and they were coming along and knowing what they needed to do to make the car stick to the ground and be faster.
Yeah. Again, like we were kind of talking before the shoot about that specific, and we can only assume, because I wasn't there, but you assume that the guys who were racing these cars and driving cars on the track would say, I'm getting a little light in the front, I'm getting a little squirrely in the back, and the engineers are saying, well, what can we do? Let's bring it down. Let's put a wing. Let's do, stay within the confines of the racing rules that the car has to be, but still being able to put these things on there.
Yeah.
So although it wasn't scientific and wind tunnel, it was done on the track under real conditions. So
and their possibility to do different things.
Yeah.
They didn't make many tires.
Right.
So you had your thickness of tire and width of tire. That's what you had. You didn't have, you look now, like we got the Z06 has 345 width tires on the back.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's, you see any of these cars back in the 70s.
Yeah.
They're skinny little tires. and they got like 400 horsepower. Well, they're just burning the tires off because
Absolutely.
the traction and the ratio to horsepower was kind of a little bit off.
Right.
So, yeah.
But even back then, I mean, you start talking. How many horsepower is this car?
It's never been checked. I don't know. This engine's tricked out. Like it's a good, whoever built it, it's a good engine. I don't know. I would say it could be maybe around the 500 horse range.
Right.
It really goes. So I don't know. I've never had it dynoed or anything.
And the car is around 3,000 pounds, a little less maybe?
I think, yeah, somewhere there. Yeah,
so
332, yeah.
Your power to weight ratio, even back then,
pretty good.
Is pretty darn good.
Yeah, but back in the day, I don't think this, even a 426 Hemi and the 440, they wouldn't have been pushing that much horsepower.
Right.
This one's tricked out with better, state-of-the-art components within the last 10 or so years.
Of course.
But still, these cars are just fantastic. And this one runs really well. The fellow I bought it from, because it's got the 3 deuce carbs on it, sometimes it can be very finicky because they're, you're running on different, it's not fuel injected, so it's running on very rudimentary, things. And this one just runs great. I've seen some, and if you can't get them tuned, they're a little bit of a bear to work with.
If you don't get the RPMs up and actually drive it, you'll
they
bung up the plugs. And,
they don't idle, and there's just, it's either low end good, mid not bad, top end bad, or everything's all reversed. So just you can't have everything, but this one does it all really well.
That's fantastic. And not regular. That's pretty rare to have a car that can be that reliable.
I
and
think
drivable.
On that for sure. The fellow who tuned this, again, he's way down southern Alberta, but I guess he's one of the best, and for sure he did a good job on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's take a look at the engine here.
You bet, sure. This is another thing too, I guess an optional thing back in the day that they had these hood pins, right? Just to make sure your hood doesn't fly up when you're racing down the track. Yeah, so again, nothing too extraordinary. They did a lot of, fitting things in, because again, to go faster, bigger displacement, everything else. So, this car does have aftermarket headers, which adds to its performance. But again, just looking at, everything they did back then, again, to go faster, bigger displacement, bigger engine. This one has aftermarket headers, which does help its go factor today. But just looking at this, how they made everything fit in here, it's relatively a small area. But looking, a radiator like this to cool a big engine like that, they did really well for back in the day.
Of course, yeah.
Just placing everything. So yeah, it's very clean. It's easy to work on. Again, these cars, this one doesn't need much help. It runs well. It's usually the carburetors are kind of the only thing that's an issue sometimes, but mostly it just runs great. So yeah, that's about it.
Right.
Master brake cylinder, batteries up front here, horn, washer fluid. Yeah, that's about it.
All beautiful car, and the chrome is just incredible on this car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, there's the shaker, the wobbly shaker
sign.
But again, as you say with the chrome, chrome is becoming a thing of days gone by, but there's not too many chroming shops anymore doing things like this. If you want to restore a car, a lot of times it's going to be an eBay thing where you're buying an aftermarket or someone's still, reproducing those parts. But again, a lot of this stuff, different suppliers like Year One, Eckler's, whoever, any of these little things are available. So it depends how far you want to go.
Yeah.
Do you want every little piece here in chrome to perfection, or is it a driver? Are you not too concerned about that? But again,
exactly.
For somebody who wants to come in the garage and tinker and tweak and go, hey, for next year I want to have this when I go to the show, lots of stuff to do.
Absolutely.
It's a great hobby to keep busy over winter. We get our long winters. What better to do than to work on a car and
keep us out of trouble?
Get it back. Exactly. Yeah.
And then, and again, that's when you do that work in the wintertime and you get it ready for the next show. Now that's your own new launch, your new release.
Exactly.
Here's what I've done.
That's right.
I mean, when you're part of these car culture and car clubs, people know your car and say, "Oh, geez, Dave, what do you do now?" And it's like, "Well, I did this."
Yeah.
So, and we're all comparing those things. So it's great. It's a great culture.
Good conversation. Yeah, and you always see that. There's one fellow I saw here at it was Tom at 149th Street on a Saturday. And I said, "Oh, geez, what did you do?" He says, "Oh, what didn't I do?" So his buddy said, "Yeah, he's been working on Lambo doors and this and that and chroming out the engine stuff." And it was a newer Corvette. It wasn't an old one, but still, something neat for the guy to keep his wits over winter and make his car pretty up a little bit more for next season.
This is the red C7.
It is.
Yeah. I talked to him.
Okay.
That's a fantastic car.
It is. It's got a lot of neat stuff.
Did a great job on it too.
It did. Yeah.
And the brakes on this, have they been upgraded?
No,
No?
this is still just the original brakes. Yeah,
Okay.
nothing fancy. So they go like crazy and they don't stop well.
Right.
That's basically the muscle car
It is.
motto. They go great in a straight line. They
Yeah.
don't handle and turn great, but quarter mile.
How fast do you go from light to light?
That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember my dad telling me about that when he was growing up, and he had his Bel Airs and his different cars, and he said the same thing. Weekend was driving down Main Street, and your buddies are out there, and light goes green.
Yeah. And then find a gas station.
And find a gas station.
Yeah,
that's right.
They weren't fuel efficient.
No, that's right. That's right. And the interior, blue leather. Is it the original interior?
It's just a vinyl. Yeah, it is original, but it's not. This isn't leather. This is a vinyl seat.
Vinyl, yeah.
And so basically blue carpet, blue seats, blue door panels, blue headliner. So as blue as you can get. It's actually pretty. I like it. It's got the white billboards. Usually you see them with the black billboards. This one had white, and I was taken with it for some reason, because usually blue and black, that's a good color combo. But this one, when I saw the white, there was just something about it that it had that kind of flash. It just, it looked really well with the white billboards. I think it just stands out a little bit better than black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it's almost reminiscent of the old 60s Corvettes, but the 61, 60s, 59s when they had the coves, the white coves. Yeah. It's flashy, but it's elegant.
That's right. Yeah.
Black, I think, would just be a little too subdued.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't, as far as reading it, like the 440, you can kind of see from a distance. So yeah, I think it looks good. It's a nice combination. It looks fresh. You get it out in the summertime. It really looks nice in the sun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, the tires, what size tires on this?
These ones here are, I think, just 245 60/15s in the back.
Right.
They're not huge. Again, a lot of these cars, you can't get a whole big wide tire in there just because the wheel wells weren't made like that.
Correct. Yeah.
Guys who really want to hook up, they're going to tub a car and stuff like that to get the wider wheel. But I don't track this or put it on a racetrack. It's more for just pleasure cruising.
It's a pleasure car.
Like
yeah. Driving around, getting a lot of stairs.
Yeah, stairs and thumbs up. Yeah, it's fun to take it out. Yeah,
you bet. And this car itself, drivability, we say it's reliable, it's drivable. What's it like in the car? Fairly comfortable?
It is actually a very comfortable car. These seats, I find, versus say like an Oldsmobile that I have or Corvettes, it's very low and sporty. Mm-hmm. You're still, I'm pretty tall, so fitting in it, lots of headroom. Just the driving position is actually really quite good in this car. I was surprised. That was one of the things that I was taken with when I purchased it. That when I got in, I went, wow, this car's, it's the sight lines, the driving position, the view out the hood area is just, it's really good. Yeah, there's not too much that, some of the older cars, you have dead spots, blind spots, tough areas, but this car is a great driving car. It's got power brakes, not power steering. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit tough, parking lots and such. You don't really work it. But it's a great driving car.
Fantastic. Yeah. And surprisingly enough, the windows and this, good visibility you mentioned. I know a lot of people in the new modern, like the Chargers and stuff, and the Camaro. My son's got the other show was the Burgundy SS. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a little more of a slot wedge through the side of those windows. And
it is. Yeah.
Although it's as small, it looks like with your placement in there, you'll be able to get better visibility.
The visibility is good. I find a lot of the newer cars, even Corvettes or even, I drive a truck, but some of these A-pillars are so big.
Yeah.
And there's sometimes a handle up there. So it's very difficult. Sometimes I found myself pulling out to make a left-hand turn or someone coming down the road, and you're almost going at that same time. And that is kind of a block of your vision. So,
big blind spot.
Exactly. But no, these cars are great for visibility. I find this one a pleasure to drive. It's one of those cars, you get in it and you just sink in and it feels like you're at home.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Excellent. Well, is there anything else you want to tell me about the car?
So yeah, not too much else. Again, this has the shaker hood.
Right.
So, this top part
is on the block.
It is. Yeah. So it's shaking. When you're at a light, you can see it actually moves a lot. And if you look at it, engines usually seem to be offset to the passenger side. Yes. So when you look at it from the front, it kind of looks funny because it's squeezed over a little bit. But when you rev it, you get that movement, and people will look and, say people or kids that haven't seen it before, like, oh, what's wrong with that guy's car? But it's really cool to see that shaker go. That was one of the things back in the day, and it's got the shaker decal in the back that looks all kind of wobbly. So when we
Yeah.
open it up, you can see the shaker decal, but
You see it vibrating.
vibrating,
Yeah.
exactly. So a lot of the neat things, like back in the day, you know, my Roadrunner, it has the Coyote chasing the Roadrunner
Yeah.
on top of the engine. It's got the Roadrunner horn. So all those little things, it was really neat back then that they
Yeah.
were using these different, you know, little things to kind of identify their cars and make them unique and different. That,
Mhm.
you know, Mopars went kind of with the Hanna-Barbera,
Yeah.
you know, Bugs Bunny Roadrunner
Of
theme and
course.
stuff like that. So
Of
yeah,
course.
it's pretty cool.
That's fantastic. And no one does that anymore. It's too bad, 'cause I mean, back then you actually had fun with the car.
I guess the last one we would Bumblebee
The
Transformer,
Bumblebee. Yeah.
right? So that's
Yeah.
about it. But there's so much, you know, different variations of things, and you know, I guess the dealers have to do what they need to move their cars.
That's the whole thing. It's
Car-
all about selling them. I know my dad, I keep referring back to him because he's the guy who got me into cars. But I remember him telling me, he says when they were young, they couldn't wait for the launch each year of the new car.
Yeah.
You know, they'd go to the dealership and you'd watch them
Yeah.
pull off the cover and unveil it. And
Yeah.
it's like, wow, that, you know, the different way it looked each year.
Exactly.
They don't get that anymore. Cars kind of
Yeah.
just kind of roll the same way.
It's spilled too early, or
Yeah.
it's a spoiler thing
Yeah.
on your phone saying,
Yeah.
oh, you know, like again, I'm a Corvette guy at heart, and
Yeah.
you know, you see the Corvettes and they got the camo black and white, and then some guy will go and try to draw it and go, I think it's going to look like this. So there's really not that surprise.
Yeah.
There's not that Christmas morning anymore.
It's I'm almost a little sad that doesn't happen anymore, because that surprise and that energy
That's right.
is
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
You know. Well, thank you so much, Dave. I appreciate your
welcome.
time. This is a beautiful car. Thank you for being on my channel.
Sure, you betcha.